Hello everyone, I'm Miss Gretchen with Rubies and Moonstones. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new to my channel, I hope that you would like it here and consider subscribing for more diamond painting content. And if you are returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for continuing to support my channel. I wouldn't be here without you, so thank you so very much. Today is September 1st of 2024 and it's about 5:30 in the morning, and therefore it is the first day of Drills and Chills. Drills and Chills, if you are unfamiliar, is a fall Halloween themed event that is put on by two wonderful women who have really substantial YouTube channels and followings, and I am blanking on their names at the moment because it is so early in the morning, but I will insert their names at the top of the video here, and I will also connect them in my description box as well. So they put on an event in the fall that is called Drills and Chills. So it is fall and autumn themed or Halloween themed. It actually goes for 2 months. It's from September 1st until October 31st. And there are weekly giveaways that you can participate in. And you don't need to have a license painting for the weekly giveaways. However, if you want to be entered into the grand prize giveaway, then you do need to have a license painting that is fall, autumn, or Halloween themed. And so that is what this is going to be for me. It is also just one that I have wanted to do for a very long time, but I felt it was very Halloween-y, and so when I got it like back in February, I didn't want to do it then. I wanted to save it for Drills and Chills, and so I am really excited to finally be able to do this. I did actually do an unboxing of this, and I will link it into the video, but it was one of the first videos I ever made, so please keep that in mind if you do go and watch it. But I just am so excited to start this. Like I said, it's the first day of the event, so I am very ready to get going and very, very excited about it. I just absolutely love this piece. So it is Fortune Teller by Claudia McKinney. It, of course, is licensed by Diamond Art Club and is 37.4 inches by 27.6 inches or 95 centimeters by 70 centimeters. So it is quite a large canvas, but I think that I can get it done, especially since I have 2 full months to work on it. I have kit up into these Elizabeth Ward containers just because it is a larger canvas. Since I did do an unboxing and this is going to be my post review, which I didn't even state yet, I'm not going to go through all of those with you and show you where they all are at because I'm going to kind of tell you that as we go along here. But there's 3 ABs and there are 4 fairy dust. We've got number 100, which is a plain green AB, number 129, that pale yellow AB. Obviously there is a lot of this on the canvas. Number 141, which is a white AB. And then for our fairy dust, we have Z597, which is a darker peacocky blue, Z775, which is our light pale blue, Z907, which is our green, a bright green, and Z3607, which is that bright pink color. I haven't gone through to see what other colors of mine I have that either match other ABs that I have or fairy dust, and I do think that I will do that because I think there are some areas that could use to be spruced up a bit, like these gems, crystals in the corner, maybe the butterflies, the lanterns. I mean, I know that those areas already have some in them, but I think that they could have a little bit more. So I don't know, we'll see. I like to know what I have extra special colors for, just so I know if I want to spruce up an area, if I have something special for it or not. Once I get to it and can kind of see what's already been charted and what I have. So I'll still do that here this morning before I actually get started, but yes, yay! First day of Drills and Chills, I'm so excited. Okay, so I didn't really mention this at the beginning, but this is going to be my post review, and I will do several different segments that show you my process as I go along. I'll either insert just some pictures of my progress as I go so you can see different chunks more up close, or I will stop and record me talking about it, and then at the end I will show you the entire thing in its entirety, and we will go from there. So all right, I gotta get started. I will see you guys in a little bit. So here is my first check-in with you. I know that he's sideways, but let's turn it a bit. Now, if I'm going to turn him like this so that he is upright for you, then you're not going to be able to see the full thing, but I will do my best. So, loving how this is coming together so far. Of course, here is the top. I realize that I haven't done a check-in video yet, and so I decided to stop. Midway, I am currently working in this area here, but thought I would show you the completed sections that I have so far. When I get the canvas moved into a different position and a different light, I almost always find some drills, when I'm doing squares, that are still slightly popped out that I need to push back in all of the way. And that is just a me placement issue. Okay. So, loving this. I believe this is the most colors on a canvas that I have ever completed. There are 94 colors on it alone. And then I'm adding some enhancements in when I can. So, these lanterns up here and this vibrant lighting is just so gorgeous to me. And one of the places that felt like a natural place to enhance, there's a few areas, but one of them is in these lanterns. So I just have a bunch of Diamond Art Club fairy dust from all of those mini dazzles kits, and if I happen to have one that matches really well or is very, very close, then I have been adding that in. So one of the more obvious places you can see it is in this lantern here. So this bright yellow that is in here, that is a fairy dust that I added in. Here is some white AB, and there is yellow AB in there as well. But this yellow fairy dust, and then there is orange fairy dust here, that is stuff that I added in. I also added in a pinkish fairy dust in this area, and I added in some extra fairy dust within this lantern as well. I tried to keep it within the lantern, but I did add a little bit in this shiny area here. And I added some within this lantern as well. I also had a fairy dust that I put into this area just because it is kind of a brighter area. That's supposed to kind of be a bit more magic-y in my opinion, so I added some. I wanted to add as much as I could into the butterflies and moths, but I didn't have a lot of colors for this guy. I added some in the green and a little bit in this blue and some of these yellow orangey areas. So then we have some naturally charted green ABs down here, and we have yellow ABs within this ball of light as well as this ball. This green fairy dust is charted, but the dark green around the outside of this magic thing, I added that in myself. Trying to figure out how to show you all of this. Sorry, I have to turn him to show you the bottom half. The way that I am set up here, I will be hitting the camera with the top. So, of course, then we have the cat here. And I also, in these balls of light, as well as in these balls up here, there is a lot of this very light color. It's 3827 and 3856. And that I also threw in as much fairy dust into these as I could as well, because I felt like those were areas that were a natural area to really brighten up. And I also put extra fairy dust when I could into this just extra pretty garlandy thing at the top. Okay, so moving back to our cat and things like that. I added some fairy dust into the cat's hat, as well as when I could into these little shiny spots within the cat, and anywhere that I felt like it was kind of an area to be brightened. I In this one, you can see this very, very light color here. Maybe I should get my pointer out. This very light color here within this butterfly, that is extra fairy dust that I added in. There's one color in particular, 3856, that I had a lot of extra fairy dust from Lost With You when I completed that. So it's nice to be able to add that in whenever I possibly can. I also tried to add in as much extra fairy dust as I could into this magic crystal ball as well. So there's naturally charted yellow ABs and white ABs in here as well. But then I added in some fairy dust in the pinks, in this cream, these pink areas. I didn't have it for all of the colors, which is also good because I don't think it should all be fairy dust, and gives kind of a natural definition to it as well. But then this green is a fairy dust, and actually this dark brown here is one as well. And this key, I had some fairy dust that matched, so I put it in there. I also, of course, added some into this butterfly as well. Mainly this bright green color is the main color that I had that matched there. And then these light brown colored areas. Then we have the candlestick here, and so we have some natural ABs in here, but then I put some gray fairy dust in this part of the candlestick, just going up to here. So just the candlestick is a little bit shinier because of the fairy dust, and then I left the brown, just the natural brown that came with it. And these are just some naturally charted ABs. Now this ball of light, this AB matches, this is for color 906. And so it is just a normal greenish color, but it's a bright green. And AB number 134 is supposed to be number 906 AB, so I added it in there. I'm not sure if I like it at the moment, so we'll see, but I did repeat it in some other spaces, so I probably will leave it at this point. And then, of course, down here at the bottom, we have the crystals, and that seemed like a natural place for me to enhance as well. So I did add in any fairy dust whenever I possibly could. So I can see that I have some fairy dust running along here in this color, this very mauve color is a fairy dust, this blue fairy dust, and then that dark blue. The rest of it, oh, there's some fairy dust here along the edge. And then this very large one, I actually had a lot of colors here that matched in fairy dust, and I put them all in. And then I realized I didn't like how that looked. So I took out the gray fairy dust and I took out this blue fairy dust and replaced this area with just regular drills because I felt like there needed to be an appropriate mix of regular versus fairy dust in this area. And so that way now I am just highlighting the top with fairy dust in the top of the pyramid, as well as the sides where I feel like the three-dimensional figure is supposed to pop out a bit more, as well as this swirly area of dark pink is fairy dust. And then on the edge here, this is a fairy dust. The dark purple is not fairy dust, and so that kind of gives us a line of definition, but I do have some fairy dust to try and show where the light would naturally be bouncing off of the crystal. And I think it looks all right from a distance, as well as those crystals are able to be defined anyways in diamond painting format. I did a similar theme on this crystal as well. So this very pale blue is a fairy dust, but I believe that that is the only one that I had to put into this one. And then we have this like dark orangish natural colored crystal over here. And so I have just added in this pale fairy dust here when I could. But that is really the only one that I had to add in there, except I did have this dark color that I could add in as well. So since those were the only two colors that I had, I threw them in. So that's what I've got so far. I'm actually pretty much at the halfway point. I love how the cat came together. I love the lanterns at the top. I just love this in general. The amount of colors was really overwhelming at first, but because I tend to work in these large sections, you can see I have this one to pull down. I did that over here where I had 3 different sections to pull down so I could work this whole dark area at once. I could do all of these balls at the same time versus doing just one square at a time. It just, to me, it makes it feel like it goes faster and I'm not so overwhelmed with all of the color changes. So now I have made it so I can pull this one down as I fill in the rest of this peach color. I have a little bit more to do there. And I had been using this one as my final piece to pull down, but now there is a lot of this S symbol here that moves further down the painting. So I waited to fill that in until I could scooch down, and now I can pull down these 2 as well and fill in this entire section, and I can get all of these S's and kind of match all of those colors in this whole area. And then of course I'll be moving down into the rest of the items on the table and this big book where it's going to be a lot of the same symbols as well. And then I am so excited to do this lantern. Part of me kind of wants to maybe just fill in the colors surrounding the lantern right now. When I come back through on my next round here, maybe I will leave the lantern undone. So when I come in, I can just do the entire lantern at once. I probably will do that. So I think that that would be a fun way to do it. Oh, and if we've got this crow on the lantern as well. So it is so cute and so fun. I am absolutely loving it. I can't believe how fast it's actually going. I wish I could spend more time each day working on it than I currently can, but yeah, loving it. So I'm going to get back to it. This may be the only check-in that I do, and I'll show you the rest of it at the end. So I'm going to get back to work. So fortune teller is finished, and I am so excited about how this looks. And I know that this table that I have it on for filming and the angle is not the greatest, but you work with what you got, right? So trying to show you the half that you did not see previously, I kind of am trying to focus you in over on that side, but wow, just the overall look of it is amazing. And I did add in so much extra fairy dust whenever I possibly could. I just love fairy dust, and since this is a magical piece, I feel like it worked really well to do that here. So on this end over here, kind of focusing in more on where the lantern is and beyond, I added in a lot of fairy dust within the lantern because I had all this extra fairy dust that matched perfectly from Lost With You with Richard Lorenz that I did. So I used that throughout wherever I possibly could, and I definitely ran out by the end of it, but I had a lot of it to use. So I was able to add a lot all throughout the background of this lantern, which I just think makes it pop a bit more. I added some ABs from DP with Sparklers within the flame, and I even went back into some of these other areas like this butterfly and the lanterns over here. I'll show you later. Wherever that orange color was, I actually pulled it out and put this matching orange fairy dust. Actually, it's not an AB, it's an orange fairy dust that I added in to match all of that. So, and I did put a little bit of this dark brown fairy dust in the candle holder. And then let's see. So shiny. Up here in these skulls and this like gem up here. So this gem is all fairy dust, and then the eyes of the skull as well as the rope that is holding on to them, that is fairy dust. The actual skull though is not. As this rope and this star is fairy dust as well. This is where I realized that I also had a matching color for fairy dust, this dark red, and that's also one of the colors I replaced in these other areas. And so I did the same thing in this butterfly up here and added a lot of extra fairy dust in there, as well as where I could in this one, especially to try to make this color, this very light color, stand out from the background, because they kind of matched up, but I could tell they weren't all supposed to be part of the butterfly. And then we have green, dark green fairy dust and light green fairy dust that I put within this vine. Here's a bunch of the yellow ABs that was charted. And then looking at this bottle, the green ABs and yellow ABs were charted, but I have light blue fairy dust, purple on the edges and in the center. And then there is the light green was the charted fairy dust. And I added a little bit on the bottom of the bottle top there. What else did I add? I added some fairy dust in this bottle as well, but it's not all fairy dust, just part of it. And there's a little bit in the bottom of it. These are naturally charted yellow ABs with some of that orange fairy dust. Actually, that's different orange fairy dust. This is this DP with Sparklers fairy dust. And I forgot to point out that in here, there is also a lot of the yellow AB that was just naturally charted with this. And then finishing off down here at the bottom, and then these crystals down here, I added as much fairy dust as I could, of course, into these crystals, and I really love how they turned out. I left, of course, the table and the book with just all plain regular drills, and then these are actually supposed to be crystals, so I added a little bit of fairy dust that I had that was matching in them, and then left these green grayish leaves in their natural state as well. So all right, so I'm going to center this back. Oh, I guess I'll point out the things that I changed. In this butterfly, I replaced some of the orange. In this crystal, I replaced some of that orange with that orange fairy dust I told you about from DP with Sparklers. Same thing, like I said, in this butterfly, that red and the orange I replaced. And then also up here in the lanterns, especially this lantern, there was that red color and the orange color that I replaced with those fairy dust colors that I talked about. And it's also within this one, as well as in this little bauble down there. So and there's a few dots within that butterfly as well that I did that too. So, and I think there were some in his hat, and there was some within the crystal ball that I took out and replaced with those. So I love it. It's so sparkly. It's so gorgeous. And I think just a black paint on the edge will finish it off nicely. I have such a hard time sometimes deciding what color to do, but I think black would be perfect for this one. So surprisingly, this did not have any 310. So that is always exciting as well. So I'm going to just center this. So as I continue to talk a bit, I'm going to insert some B-roll just to scan over the entire piece to show you a bit more of a close-up on it. So it ended up taking me 86.5 hours to complete. I did start it on September 1st and I finished it on September 21st. So it took me about 22 days. I did stop for about a day and a half or so. No, it had to be more, I think 2 days or so, to work on those Sunflowers and Twilight series to finish that up. But other than that, I was just focusing on this piece. And just as a reminder, it is 37.4 inches by 27.6 or 95 by 70 centimeters. And there are 107,061 total diamonds with 3 charted ABs and 4 charted fairy dust. And then obviously I can't even tell you how much extra fairy dust I added to it. I love fairy dust, and since I have all of these perfect matches that I got out of those mini Dazzles kits from Diamond Art Club, it's really easy to swap out. This place, I think, could use some extra sparkle, and those colors just match perfectly. And then if I happen to have a color from DP with sparklers that matches up pretty close to the dye lot of the Diamond Art Club one, then I would replace that as well. I'm less likely to put in ABs because those, I don't know, I have a harder time trying to figure out where those really would look good at enhancing, and I don't have a lot of them. I did add a few of them into the green baubles around the cat. There are just these bright green magic-y spots that you can see kind of surrounding the candle and the cat, and there were some ABs that matched that color according to this Diamond Art Club AB matching color chart that I had. So I did replace those, and I think that that just kind of helps those brighten up and pop a bit more, especially since they're next to the charted green fairy dust. But other than that, I have a hard time kind of knowing where to add ABs into, but fairy dust is an easier thing for me to feel like I can add just because it's not quite as in your face, you know, they're just more subtle, and I love fairy dust. So so one more thing, I guess, just to show you for those of you who may be interested. Here are all my colors, 94 colors. So one of the reasons that I got this was because of how many colors it had, and I really wanted to work with a diamond painting that had a high color count. And of course, you have 94 colors. That's going to be a lot of color changes. So there was a decent amount of confetti to work with, but I did work in really large sections. You can see I have a lot of this color left. That's the one that I had all of that fairy dust from Lost With You with. So I have a lot of this color left. And then here is the amount of trash that I had. So I do have a decent amount in there. So here is all of the trash that I had. All of that orange in there, though, that's all of the orange that I picked out to add that orange fairy dust that I told you about. So that shouldn't really count as trash. But there is a decent amount of trash that I did get picked up in there. But it's a large piece, and there's also a lot of dark colors, so not totally surprised with that. But yeah, 94 colors. There are going to be a lot of color changes, and there is just going to be a lot of fairy dust. I do still have a decent amount of each of these colors left, of the yellow AB, a little bit of the green, as well as a little bit of each of these fairy dust colors. Not a lot, but a little bit that I can add to my collection. So I did work in really large sections, so I did complete this entire lamp all at once, for example, and then I did all of this dark area all at once. And then when I was working this final section, you know, with those perforated squares, I pretty much always worked with 4 of them at a time at least, but I worked with 2 of them, so I at least had a row of 2, and then I would pull that back, have a line showing me where it was, and be able to pull the next one back. So then when I was doing all of this color, I could just pull back each leaf, fill in all of that color, and then fold it back over until I was ready to work on a different section. It also helped me prevent my hand from getting in the glue, and I did that pretty much all the way down. I didn't, there's some colors up here that match down here, but I focused up here and then gradually worked my way down. As I had matching colors, then I would add to them, but I didn't do this whole section all in leaves. I pretty much did half and then this part and then that part. So, yeah. Oh my goodness. Isn't she just gorgeous? I am so amazed. Claudia McKinney is a wonderful, wonderful artist. And this is just a beautiful piece. So, okay. That is going to be it for this video. I sure hope that you did enjoy it. If you did, please be sure to give it a like. If you'd like to see more of my content as I create it, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm learning, you're learning, let's learn together. I hope you all have a fabulous, wonderful, marvelous day. Bye-bye.